Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Geno TV and Channel 99. Our guest is Tom Bresette. Tommy.
Dan,
Tom.
great to see you. That's right.
Nice to see you. You are the general manager of the Nantucket Golf Club, but you're here today to talk about the Nantucket Golf Club Foundation.
Right. I'm the executive director of the foundation also.
Right. When was the foundation set up?
So in 2002, we opened the club in 1998, and the board at the time was trying to figure out how to give back to the community and develop the foundation in 2002. In the winter of 2001, maybe into 2002.
And when did you really start your programs of?
Well, it's actually kind of funny. I think, rightfully so, the board was hesitant to jump into anything, and we had been getting a lot of requests to use the facility for charitable events, because our first event we did was for Nantucket Ice to build the ice rink here, and it was widely successful, and they raised about $250,000, which had been kind of unheard of at the time. So we were getting inundated with a lot of requests to obviously hold an event there, and the board said, let's figure out what we're going to be about. We don't want to open that. We're not going to be able to do events every weekend. The club's fairly exclusive, and they thought long and hard about it. And then we were at a board meeting, and I think it was Mr. Greenhill, one of the board members, said, "Why don't we focus on children?" And we realized that there really wasn't a niche there. There was a niche there that hadn't been tapped, and we decided to start the foundation and have it benefit children. So they asked me to go out to the members and see if we could do something like a golf tournament, something to raise money. So I talked to a few members, and at the time, I believe two of the members said, if you did a golf tournament in August, we'd raise a ton of money. Like a lot of guys, the hedge fund guys come down, they can't play golf because Sankey at the time was very private, and my comment I think was still 9 holes. They said if you open it up, I bet you could raise a fair amount of money. So kind of came back to them, and I'll never forget, I went to the board meeting that winter, and with all my research, I came with the president of the club, and we kind of presented to the board and said that we thought we'd be able to raise $250,000, $300,000, no problem. And they all kind of looked at me like I had 8 heads, and my boss, Fred Green, was really supportive, but he was hesitant too, kind of like, Tommy, you've done a lot of these things, and $50,000 to $60,000 would be a pretty big deal. So we had we had a dinner and an auction, and they were very, very supportive. Everyone kind of gave trips and stuff, and golf and vacations. And
was there a golden retriever puppy?
Yeah, well, that was the first one in the Nantucket Ice. Yeah, the puppy in the first one that we did for the Nantucket Ice, and we raised $650,000 the first one, and then it just kind of took off. And at the time, we were just involved with our grant application program. So nonprofits on Nantucket could apply, but they had to benefit children in some way. So the money that we came in just kind of went out. I would distribute it. I had a committee, and we'd work with the board and distribute the funds. But it just became so wildly successful right away. The next year we raised $840,000, then $1 million, then $1.2 million, and then $1.5 million, and then we were grossing about $1.5 million, $1.6 million, and our record this past year was almost $1.9 million. But because of that success, we've kind of had to focus more on our program, and then we decided in 2004, to add the Nantucket Scholar Program, where we give the scholarships to the kids at the high school.
That's really your signature program.
Well, it really is.
Most of the other ones, people don't hear much about.
You're right, and we're kind of addressing that. And it's funny because we give about $500,000 a year to the different grant applications, and we touch 70 organizations. But obviously, scholarships for kids resonates with everyone. Not only the members and the supporters of the foundation, but the people who see it. You're sending these kids. So now we put 22 kids through school, and we always have 8 college students that we're putting through school, it's been really
getting expensive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I know it's you're talking about $50,000, $60,000 sometimes for these schools. But it's interesting to watch it from a parent's perspective. Watching that first class and seeing the schools that they were applying to and getting into, and wow, I mean, if anything is an example of how the schools are doing, they're now getting into Harvard and MIT and Georgetown on a regular basis, which just says a lot about the school, I think. And I wouldn't give the foundation the credit for that, but one of the things we wanted to do was inspire these kids throughout the high school to aim higher and really work for that. And what's been nice for us is when we meet with these students, there's always a certain percentage of the kids who have known about the Scholar Program since they were in 8th grade and have been fighting for it. So, not fighting for it, but working hard to get it. So. It's pretty neat.
Fighting.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Elbows,
a little bit of fighting, yeah. So it's been great, and the thing that I think that is amazing to me is, one, the support of the members and the people the donors and the supporters that come to the event, but that it just has kind of kept this momentum. I mean, every year I review it with our board of directors, and we're all kind of like, how do we make it better, and how can we sustain this? And everyone's very, very supportive.
That's great. How many Nantucket Scholars have there been now?
So 22. Yeah, 22. So we'll be into, I think we're into our 12th season, I believe. Yeah.
It's a very rigorous process. You put.
It's actually evolved every year. So I think it's become it's a long thing. So we're going to meet them next October 27th, which is I think in 2 weeks from today. We meet with the parents and the kids. Anyone who wants to.
How is the initial group selected?
Yeah. So anyone can apply, and so anyone who's a senior can apply. And in the early years, we kind of had a paper cut where we get an application and check it. But we changed our thoughts on that. Just said, listen, if a kid wanted to put himself out there, no matter what level of student he was, we would interview him. Because one of the things we've really tried to press along the way is that if a student is going to apply to be a Nantucket Scholar through the program, we want the program to benefit the kid no matter what. And we think that having a senior, a young adult, sit in front of 7 committee members and interview is something that's really positive. Yeah. And we do that 2 or 3 times throughout the process. We have peer presentations where they have to present in front of the group. We have sometimes they have to introduce their own student. I won't give away too many things because we surprise them every time. But we try to meet them in different venues along the way, probably 8 or 9 times, and then we kind of do a different cut. So we'll go to sometimes we're usually about 45. 45 is about what the biggest we've had. Get it to about 20, and then we try to get around 10 or 12 finalists and focus on them pretty intensely for the last.
It's a third of the class.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it's nice to be able to do something like that. I always encourage anyone. I really think it's important for the kids to be able to do that, and every student that we had go through has always been positive about how their experience was good for them, even whether they didn't win or get to the final stage, and that's kind of our goal. So,
do you track the winners?
Yeah, so we actually have a coordinator, Susan McFarland, who used to work in the guidance department at the school, and she's in touch with them pretty much monthly, and we do kind of a little update every 6 months. The funny thing that you say that is because we're really trying to how to measure the success of this program, and how do you measure it? Because it's not, we didn't build it on these kids having to come back to Nantucket to give back and work here, because we know they're going to go out in the world and do great things. I think time will tell, and so they're all starting to get into their careers now. Some of them have come back. They're working as nurses in the hospital and are trying to come back and be RNs or whatever. But I think you got to give it probably those graduates 5-10 years to find out what they do. But what we hope is that no matter what community they're in, they'll be encouraged to give back to the community in the sense that the community gave to them. So it's a hard for sometimes because we want to measure it so definitely, but you really can't do it until you see how they turn out.
Have all 22 made it through?
Yeah, every one of them never had some bumps every now and then, but really none. I mean, they've all been. It's great for me because I love the kids more. The process for me is meeting these kids, and now it's a little difficult because I know all of them. My daughter's a senior, and I have a senior and a junior, so I seem to know all these kids from watching them for the last 10 years. No, the Nantucket golf kids aren't eligible, unfortunately, because they're my kid. They're great students, but that would be too weird. So.
There is another scholarship program on the island that does reward.
Well, that's right, and there's also, it's amazing thing is but all the communities, there's like $500,000 in community scholarships.
Oh, I know, but there's
amazing.
One scholarship program where never mind.
That's right. Understood. Yeah, so she'll be eligible for those, which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
What else? What are some of the other programs that you're particularly proud of?
Well, I think on the grant side,
different level.
Well, I think some of the things, one of the things from the grant application perspective is we try to be supportive of these nonprofits because a lot of them don't have support systems. And some of them are kind of mom and pop organizations, and some have fully administrative staff. But what we try to do is we try not to sustain programs because we want them to be able to sustain themselves. But some of the ones we're really proud about is the Big Brothers, it used to be Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Now it's Mentors. I can't remember what it is, but it's like they do Breakfast Buddies.
Mentor Youth Nantucket or something. Yes.
And that they do the Breakfast Buddies at the high school, which is great, where the students go and they meet the kids and they have breakfast with them. And a lot of the parents wouldn't be able to do that if they couldn't drop their kid off for breakfast. The Kids on Ice is a great one that we do. We basically provide free skating for kids that come on that program. And then the STAR, the therapeutic for kids with special needs, is really an amazing program. So there's a lot of that kind of trickle through. It's these days, it's hard to not see where the money hasn't touched one. If you're an organization that does anything for kids, we've had a piece of that. And anything from Little League uniforms to Mariah Mitchell, which has been really, really great for us. And I think it's been a nice benefit for the club. As you recall, when we first I had been on Island for about 5 or 6 years, and when they were first developing the club, there were a lot of mixed thoughts about it. So I think that's helped us become a real solid community member, which has been great.
Any thoughts about improvements? I mean, you probably
yeah. So like I said, we do it every year. So we try to we do a recap at the end of the year. We say, and especially with the Nantucket Scholar Program, we're trying different ways to meet these kids. We take them to dinner and see how they act with their peers at dinner, and we do that a couple times. And it's we try to make it fun for them, but at the same time, give us as much evaluation pieces as possible. And we'll continue to do that. We shake the committee up every now and then. It's we have some administration on the committee, but I always try to get a community leader in there because their perspective of the child is certainly different than mine or someone who doesn't work at the school because they've seen them. So we try to mix that up. But it's nice because the board is very flexible with us trying to evolve as we go. So.
Obviously, grades play a big part in it.
Absolutely, no question.
But what other sorts of...
Well, it's interesting. It's not. If you look
sort of
back,
the all-aroundedness of the...
Yeah, it's basically, that's exactly what it is. There's a lot of pieces that come into play. And what's really neat is that many of the years we've seen a kid or a student develop from the first interview to the end, and maybe, and in some cases, even win it. So, if you looked, I bet you it's less than 50%.
A dark horse.
Yeah. Well, because they really want it, or there's a value. What we're trying to do is make the biggest impact on the student and the family. So everything's involved there. There's grades, there's their SAT scores, their ACT scores, sports leadership, all those things, community awareness, what they do. And so those kind of all add up. And as we get to, and those interviews are very key because we have certain interviews with them. And then when we get to the finalist stage, we really are trying to see what kind of impact it's going to be on the child and the student. Because, a lot of these kids are getting big packages because they're getting the financial aid from the school. Right. So if you and I are in the running and there's 4 or 5 of us and you've got a package from Stanford that's already giving you 80% of the scholarship, and this person's not getting any of that because his need isn't that high, but it's going to be a bigger impact to him. He might not go to Stanford. He might go to a different school. We want to give that child the ability to go to whatever school they want. So, the meetings at the end are drag out, tears. I mean, have committee members all want the certain person that they've kind of backed, and so they can be pretty long and pretty emotional. But I can confidently say that we've never walked out not feeling really good about our choices, which is great. I don't know if you've ever been to the announcement.
I went once.
Yeah, it's a really an amazing evening. And the big piece about that is we're celebrating those 10 or 12 students, and we try to do that as much as possible. It's hard. It's hard because you got 2 winners, and it's like winning the lottery, really. Right. $250,000, $300,000 scholarship for these 4 years, but it's a really an emotional event. I love going to it, and you should come again because it's really enjoyable.
My wife went. She was mentoring
a
young woman who won a couple several years ago.
It's pretty neat.
It is an amazing experience for the people who are watching.
Yeah, no, so many people have come to us.
You wonder how the kids who lose feel, but as you say, it's a bit like winning.
Yeah, and that's evolved. We've changed, like not putting them up there and leaving them up there. We let them go with their family and friends, and we give them a really nice gift bag. But they're all very appreciative, which is we've got a great island. We've really got a great school system. I'm pretty impressed. If you think about what some of these kids are doing, and you look back to when I was going to high school, oh my God, it's so different. I mean, they were doing, I don't know how.
When I was
I bet. I mean, they're doing so many great things, and I don't know how it's time management is really the biggest piece of their life for these 4 years. So, but it's exciting to be able to do it, and I'm lucky and grateful for the position to be able to do it. So,
don't think there's anything more to say. Tom Bresette, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Appreciate it very much
for joining us.
All right.